You don't know me, and today you're gonna find out. So, where do I start? Well, today I'm going to be shooting straight from the hip. I'm going to give you all the information about me and my history, because I feel ultimately that I haven't shared that enough online. And if anyone's going to know me in what I'm doing, then obviously I need to disclose that information. So I do feel it's really important that you know exactly my backstory and what my purpose is and why I'm doing what I do today. I started off in the middle of a place called East London. So that's in the middle of London, well, in the East End of London, I should say. And I was born in a place called Newham General. That was the hospital. I was born to a mother who was around 32 at the time, and she's from a place called Guyana, which is not Ghana, it's actually a place, Guyana, in South America. And my dad is from a place called Jamaica, which many of you may know. Now, when my mum had me, she had actually come over from Guyana into England, of where she met my dad. And initially, obviously, they had me and had good plans of being together and whatever else, but around 4 years in, so when I was 4 years old roughly, my mum actually passed away. So she passed away from cancer, and I've got one brother and one sister on my mum's side. They were around 16 and 19. So my sister took it upon herself at that time to actually look after me. So because she was so young, she legally couldn't have me. It's really hot today, I'm almost sweating. But she couldn't have me legally, so she had to actually adopt me. So that was the person who brought me up, my legal guardian, if you want to call it that. And there was also an old family friend, a guy named Rodney, who's like an uncle to me now, and he helped my sister really bring me up. So ultimately my sister played the mother role throughout my life. So even up to now, she's still like my mum. And yeah, so basically when I grew up, like, I was a really sort of curious child. Like my sister said, all the time I would always ask, you know, if I saw something, I'd always ask, how is it put together, or how did it work? And I was always quite technical, so she always knew I was going to do something quite technical when I grow up. And as soon as I sort of got old enough going through school, I used to play a lot of sports. So I was into sports. I used to play football, I used to play a lot of basketball. Ultimately I did think I was going to become a footballer, but I think from where I grew up, that was like the big dream for any child, you know, around that age range. But as soon as I got to about 13, 14, I actually got into smoking a lot of weed. So I went down that route. I used to smoke a load of weed. I wouldn't say it defined me so much, but I really was like a quite laid back person, and really slow, and just, I don't know. Some people smoke it and they can still function on it, and some people it just completely obliterates their energy levels and whatnot. And that's what it done to me. So yeah, at that time, you know, I used to run around. I used to love a lot of motorbikes as well. So I used to ride lots and lots of motorbikes. I used to love fixing motorbikes, and it was crazy because when you look back on my childhood, as soon as I got old enough to ride motorbikes, I would like take engines out of bikes and rewire other bikes, you know, so do the whole wiring loom throughout a bike. And we actually used to, like, you know, it's not good, but I used to steal motorbikes as well, and we would actually take the engine out of one and put it in another bike, and, you know, wire it up and all of that different stuff. So that's what I used to do. That's what I used to love, and smoking loads of weed. But yeah, like all my friends, that's what they were into, you know. I might have selected maybe the wrong or right friends, but those are the friends that I have, and some of them are still my friends today, you know. So I do have a lot of loyalties within that lay with those people, sorry. And yeah, so as soon as I got to about 16, I left school. I really didn't do that well in my GCSEs. I got 4 that I passed with A to C's. I got like a B in English, and a C in maths, a C in science, I think, and one other lesson as well. But I wasn't really fussed about GCSEs. Throughout that time, I wasn't really fussed about passing it. I wasn't positive about GCSE. I don't know. I just never really had a passion of doing it, you know, so I didn't really focus on it. But I did get enough, however, to actually get into colleges for the courses that I wanted to do. So the next thing that I actually went on to do in college is, one of my friends, me and him signed up to do painting and decorating, which is something that we just didn't want to do. We actually ended up going to the college we went to because we heard there was a lot of girls there at the time and whatnot. So we were thinking, you know, having fun and meeting new people and partying and all of that different stuff that you might think about at that age, you know. So that's why we signed up there, and within about, I think it was about 2 months or something, we got kicked out because we used to just mess around non-stop inside of that college and get up to non-stop, you know, bad shit. So that was the end of that. Then after that, I went back onto like what I used to do. So I went out back, stealing motorbikes and going out bloody just hanging about, smoking weed, getting involved with all the wrong stuff, and really just going and doing other things that I shouldn't be doing, in that sense, that I might not want to disclose a bit too much, but yeah, so that's what I used to do. But ultimately, I always knew that there was going to be something more for me in life. I knew that there was a bigger calling. So even when I was doing everything else, I mean, I did get arrested on multiple occasions. I've probably been arrested about 13 times or something. But when I used to get involved, like, I never really took it all the way to the point where I ended up in prison. Although I had a few close calls, I never ended up in prison or anything like that, because I think I always knew that there was something else. So I always kept that reserve bank, for the what if, in that sense. So as soon as I got to maybe about 19 years old, I started getting into work and stuff. So I got into like a job with my best friend, who's my best friend and always been Andre, and he got me into a security role. So I was doing like security on film sets. So I got to meet a lot of people, different people high up, people just average, and that was really good. I loved it, but it was long hours. I was doing 12-hour shifts and it was relentless. Sometimes I'd do 7 days a week, back to back. Yeah, so I went off there and I was there for a couple of years. I was still studying. So I went back to college. Sorry, I forgot that. I went back to college whilst all this was going on. And I went back to study motorsport engineering because I was always into engineering. I always loved engines and working with engines and the technical side of things. So I went back to college and yes, I was working the security and then I was studying full time. But full time for that course was only 3 days a week. Yes, I'd done motorsport engineering, which took me 4 years in college. I came out with a BTEC National, so I did actually take that serious and finished it. I remember, like, when I finished, I thought, yes, I'm going to go into motorsport, because I used to go down to a lot of the motorsport tracks down in the UK. But we used to go down there on the weekends and I would be the guys in the pit stop. So they'll drive round and whatever else. They got these track cars and whatnot, and they come round in the pit stop and I'll get to work on the car. So I was loving it, that was what I was really passionate about. And when I finished the course, I actually got to the point where I started working full time inside of a garage. So after I finished the college course, I was still doing the security on the side, and then I was working full time in a garage on the end of my road where I used to live. I was still living with my sister at the time. What happened is I was working there and I really was enjoying it at the beginning, and then I got to the point where I was thinking, I really just don't like being grubby. And it sounds really petty and really stupid, but it was just something I absolutely hated. I just hated being grubby. And even if you know anything about fixing cars or any type of hard labor work, is that even on the days that you're not working, your nails and stuff, like the dirt just embeds itself, so you always look grubby and you always feel grubby, and I just hated it. I knew that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I quickly realized that it was more of a hobby than a profession that I wanted to use engineering for. Shortly after that, I then decided to go into a different sector of engineering altogether. So I still wanted to work with cars, but in a different way. So then what I went on to do is I applied to Ford, which all of you must know. Ford is the same Ford that you have in the States or in the UK or anywhere else around the world. I applied to them to a dealership, and I had to actually travel to a place called Birmingham in London. In England. So that's way out of London. It's about 100 miles away, and I had to get there for like 6 a.m. for this interview, and it was me and like maybe about another 20 other people going for this role. When I went for this role, I actually got picked out of like 3 people. So there was like 20 in total, and 3 it was dropped down to, and then out of 3, 1 was picked and I got through. So I was like over the moon. I was thinking, what the hell? Rang up my sister like, I got picked, I'm gonna get this job, blah blah blah. So after I passed that process, they then told me I need to go into the actual branch for an interview with the manager. So they said, you've definitely got a job with us, but it depends on what branch takes you. So at the time, I lived in a place called Upton Park. The branch that I wanted to get was just in a place called Barking. So that was only like 2 stops or 1 stop on the train. No, 2 stops on the train from where I lived. So I was thinking, yeah, I want to do this. This is going to be me right next to the house and blah, blah, blah. So I went to the interview and I actually got turned down. So the guy didn't want me, and he said, it's not you, but someone else came along that had more qualifications. That's what he used. But I don't really know. Sometimes, they generally don't think you performed well enough or whatever else, I don't know. So I knew obviously I'll keep going on because I still had an opportunity of getting a job with these guys. So I then decided to go back for another interview. So I phoned them up, I said, where else? And they gave me a place which was again just up the road but in Barking, but at a different branch. So I was over the moon. I was like, yes, I'm really going to smash this one. So I went there, blew them away in the interview, and that was it. I got the job. So I really got the job, and I was working there for maybe about 10 months. So what I was doing there is I was actually working on the service desk. So opposed to actually repairing the cars physically, I would deal with all the informational side of it. So I would log all the data information on the computer and download information for vehicles that came into the workshop. And I was doing that for about 10 months and I was still getting my head around things and whatnot. Yeah, about 10 months in, I actually was called into a meeting. So I got a letter at home and it said, oh yeah, you're going to be called into a meeting. I was still on probation at the time because I think it was a 12-month probation. And they said, yeah, you'll be having a meeting, blah, blah, blah. The outcome could be that we don't continue your contract or whatnot. So I went in and my manager at the time, Chris, he came in and he sat with me and he said, do you know why you're here today? So I said, yeah, well, one of two ways. Either you're going to continue to have me or you're going to drop me. He said, yeah, that's correct. So then he continued. And when he started talking, everything that he started to come out with was negative. Everything. I mean, everything he said was negative. So he came out with, you've done this and that, blah, 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 this and that, this and that, this and that. So anyway, long story short, I got dropped. Just like that. I got dropped from the job and I forgot the whole thing. At the time, my sister moved abroad. So that was the big problem. My sister had actually moved abroad at that time and it was the first time I was self-sufficient. And that's when I got dropped from the job. So whilst I wasn't living in Upton Park, I was living in a place called Forest Gate, which is still right next to that location. You get to know me, I'm a bit scattery with the way that I think sometimes. So I go from this to that, this to that. That's just me. So I'm going to let that stay on the camera. Anyway, but yeah, so basically I was actually living in Forest Gate and my sister was abroad. She flew out to Martinique and she had dreams of moving abroad and building herself up there. So I had no one because my brother lives way out of London and my sister was the only person who I had that big, strong relationship with. So anyway, I got dropped from the job. I was gutted and my manager's literally just like, okay, make your way to the desk. We're going to get your stuff out right now. I didn't even get to finish my day. So for me, I was like, you're basically sacking me then. And he was like, no, we're just not continuing your probation. I'm thinking, nah, you're like, so ultimately, anyway, when I was walking out now, I hear like one of the guys in parts, like in the parts department, saying, this company's a bunch of shit. They're switching our roles, doing this. So I knew there was a lot of underpinning sort of reasons of why they actually dropped me. But I have to say, like, I think if I could say any situation in my life would have been the most that sort of demotivated me and discouraged me, it would have been that situation, because I just felt like I was shit and worthless. That's the truth. Like, and it took me a while to get over that because I just thought, I wasn't good enough and I fucked up and I couldn't get my head around things. I'm not smart, and I was always told I'm quite intelligent, articulate and all of that, So it did take me quite a while to get over that, and I just had to phone my sister at that time. That's the only person that could have helped me at the time, because I was in the middle of London, had no real, family to help me, and I just lost my job. I had no income, so I was actually sleeping on my mate's sofa and on the floor at the time. So I was staying on the floor in his sitting room. That's where I was sleeping, and that was for a good year I was there. Maybe no, about 2 years I was there, with him, and he's still a good friend up to now, so yeah, I was there, and I kept telling him, I was like, I'm gonna fucking get a next job and I'm going to work harder and I'm going to go back. And he used to laugh at me because he thought it was quite funny, but I don't blame him for that, because if you're looking at someone sleeping on your floor telling you about moving forward and achieving things, you're not going to take him serious, but obviously in my head it all made sense and I knew what I was going to do. So that's exactly what I set back out to do. So I phoned my sister and we ran through everything, and she said, don't worry, I'm coming back. So my sister, she actually booked a ticket to come back, just to get things leveled with me, and she was considering it anyway because she had my little nephew with her and he wasn't really happy about where they were. But I think when I gave her that call, that definitely just confirmed it for her that she'll be coming back. So I thank you for that to my sister again. I love her so much with all my heart. But yeah, so she came back and we moved back in together. whilst that was happening, she actually gave me a job application because her previous was actually recruitment consulting, so she finds people jobs. And she gave me this application for Transport for London. So she said to me, look, you're going to be perfect for this job. I know you're going to whiz through the interview and the application process. She was looking at it, she's going, this is you. I know you're capable of doing this. So that's all she was saying. And I didn't even believe in myself at the time. But I was still doing bits of bobs and work again because I went back to security and whatnot. Yeah, she basically gave me this job application. So when I actually applied for it, obviously, if you know about these sort of career jobs, it actually goes through, it might take up to 6 months before you get the role. So I went back in hard with film set stuff, and also I jumped back on the streets again because I needed to make some money. So I was involved with drugs and all of that stuff again, but I was making good amount of money, but I was back involved with that and working on the film sets, you know, so that's what I was doing. I was making money, obviously keeping my head above water and whatnot. Yeah, at the time also I started reading. That was another thing. So that changed because I started reading, and, you know, I think it was the first book my sister got me, Think and Grow Rich. You know, I was reading and reading and reading. So I started like buying loads of different books after that because that kicked off my sort of entrepreneurship journey. So that's where that all came from, and that's where it all started, because they were talking about, you know, achieving high levels of success and blah 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 and XYZ. And even when I was on the streets, I was thinking always big. Like, I always wanted to achieve a lot, you know. So even when I was there, I was always thinking about achieving a whole load of money and changing people's lives and helping my sister and doing all these different things. Because although my sister owned a house, she's always gone through struggle, which you can understand from someone taking on a child that isn't theirs at 18 or 19, however old she was, and, you know, obviously going through life like that, and then having a child of your own, and then her relationship fell to pieces. So, you know, all of that. She was always a one-man band, you know, and she still is up to now. So a lot of the stuff that I do now is in regards to helping her. But basically, I applied for the job. Yeah, I was successful with the application. So I had to go in, take a test. I went through that and thought I failed. Phoned my sister. She said that you've definitely passed it. Don't you worry. I got the phone call that I passed. I was over the moon, went back in for the interview and got the job. So when I got that job, I actually had a goal that I would want to drive the trains, because that's the company I was going into. So the role I applied for was customer service on the actual train stations, but I knew I wanted to drive trains. That's what I wanted to do, because I'm quite technical, and again, obviously I'm quite practical as well. So basically, as soon as I got in that company, that was my whole main focus. My sister said, you're going to do that. You're going to drive the train, blah, blah, blah. You know, I still wasn't that confident, but I knew I wanted to do it. So I set out to do that. And in around maybe about 8 months into the job, I actually applied to become a train driver. And I went up for the test. Loads of people were failing it and whatnot, because it has like a low success rate. And I went through there and I smashed it. I literally just smashed it. Went through the test, had the interview, passed the interview. And ultimately, that's what brings me to now, because I'm a train driver. So I do that part-time at the moment. I went part-time at work purely because obviously I got into entrepreneurship. So if we talk about my entrepreneurship journey, we can say, like, okay, if we look at this as well, because one of the biggest things, I never really brought my dad into a lot of things, because ultimately, if we talk about the story of my dad, when my mum died, he actually went off and, you know, done his own thing in life. So I don't really have a strong relationship with him like that. I speak to him, it's good, you know, I don't have a problem with him, but we don't have a strong relationship. So I see him here and there, I speak to him here and there. Yeah, he was actually an engineer as well. That's what he done for a living for many, many years. So that's where that came from, you know. And my mum actually used to do catering. So she's really good with food and, you know, her hands. And that comes into me because, like, I'm actually, you know, I cook for a guy. Like, I love to cook and, you know, make things and create things. And I think, and then the engineering side comes from my dad, like, where I'm quite technical and he's quite articulate, you know. So both of that, I was told my mum was quite smart as well. So I think that combined is what makes me, definitely. But yeah, when we talk about entrepreneurship, I started off with the books, and then that went into me looking into online business. So I went into trading, first of all. That was the first thing I went into. And that was because someone I met at the time, back then, was doing trading, and he would actually, he was very wealthy, like, you know, one of my friend's dads, and he asked me if I ever wanted to make any more money, and I said, yeah, I wanted to make more money. And someone asking me who's a multi-millionaire, you're going to be like, yeah, of course, I want to know. And he would actually give me training on trading, so he was showing me huge amounts of numbers and things he was investing in, and it was forex he would focus on when he was doing his day-to-day trading. But then obviously he had investments in gold and other things like that, precious metals, etc., etc. So I would get a lot of training, and I was reading up on it, learning about it, and going on babypips.com. I had a simulation account, and I would go up and down with the money, So I never really broke through that barrier of more than maybe about £300. I never really got over that. And ultimately, I think I lost a bit of interest in it. I started searching for other things, So I was doing that for the first couple of years and trying to break the barrier of it. But then, I just sort of thought, there must be something else, because that was the only thing I ever looked at. So I started looking online, and obviously the online space was emerging at the time. So this is maybe about 3 years ago, and I was looking for anything that I could find. So I started looking online and looking at different business models and blah blah blah. And that's what brings me to today, because around a year ago, I never took action on anything. So I was just obviously 3 years ago looking at it and considering it and blah blah blah, and I was really good. I already had the basic knowledge of building a site, and when it comes to following instructions, I'm really good. I can take something and apply it. I'm really good at that. If I see something, I'll digest the information quick and apply it. I'll be able to do that really good. So I basically went online and started looking at different courses. I think it's Tai Lopez who I first saw, because everyone sees Tai Lopez first. That was the first guy that I saw. And Tai Lopez basically was selling the dream. I saw this money and cars and all of that. So I was like, yep, this is for me. So I bought his 67 steps course, and that was really good, because that's all about your mindset. So that was the first thing I started building up, was mindset, and being different, and what entrepreneurs are like, and how successful people think, how they see life, how they go through life, and all of that. And whilst I was doing that, I was obviously reading, and that's where the reading came in heavily. Tai Lopez, I can thank you for that. So I was reading, learning, and thinking, but still I never had nothing actionable to actually do and make money. So that's when I started looking at different business models. So I started seeing Shopify, Amazon FBA, affiliate marketing, and I digested all the information on exactly how each business model works. And that's when I came to the conclusion that I would want to do affiliate marketing, because ultimately for me, I live in the UK, but I want to move abroad eventually. So one of my goals is to buy a house in Spain. I love Spain. I don't know what it is about Spain, but I love Spain. And before I die, I'm definitely having a house in Spain and a house in the UK. I do have bigger dreams than that, but those are the main foundations that I just want to achieve in life first. And so basically, and obviously help my sister, of course, that's in there. But so if I look at it, I basically was looking at affiliate marketing. I was thinking, all these businesses are great. They're all online, so it doesn't really matter what you do. But I like the fact of affiliate marketing. You could go in with no sort of startup costs. So that's what sort of sparked my interest in it. And I started looking at OD Productions, started seeing guys like Tanner J. Fox, and started following Tanner J. Fox, and then Ryan Hildreth. And eventually I invested into Tanner J. Fox's course, and that's what brings me to YouTube. When I made that course, inside of the course they talked about building a YouTube channel and making a personal brand. So that's what I decided to do. And as soon as I read it, whatever, in the course, I just done it. That was it. And I was shit scared, because think about it, me coming from the streets and talking yo cuz, what's up, and whatever, then coming onto camera speaking professional. I mean, obviously I worked in professional environments, but I didn't have to be like that 24/7. So me coming on camera was a big thing. And then obviously you're being judged on YouTube, so that was the biggest thing for me. And then people know me to be a different person. They know me to be a good guy, but I don't think they would know me to think he'd get on YouTube and do all of this sort of stuff. So that's what I decided to do anyway. And ever since then, that is it. I've been documenting my journey, but that's what I think I haven't shared enough of, because I have been giving you information, but not really documenting where I'm at. So at the moment, up until now, I have only ever broke the barrier of maybe about £500 to £800 per month with any type of online marketing. That's where I'm at basically, so that's what I'm still doing. But I'm going to be setting up a new offer coming over this few weeks and get that running. and obviously start running traffic to it and whatever else. But I'm trying to build up my own personal site as well, and plus I'm taking on client work because I'm still trying to make ends meet and whatnot. But yeah, that's what I basically do at the moment. So I build websites for people and run some, you know, social media. I grow people's Instagrams. So if you ever want to grow your Instagram, I do that. That's what I do. And I'm just building up my brand. So I'm not actually linking to anything in my videos anymore. I'm not trying to make money out of it. I'm just building up a brand to eventually where I can monetize what I do. But for the moment, I'm just sharing as much value as I can, and ultimately obviously building up in the back end my affiliate marketing businesses. And that is it, guys. So for the future, what I'm planning to do is I want to get to the £10,000 per month barrier. How am I going to get there? I'm going to use affiliate marketing, personal branding, and obviously courses. So I'll create a course of where people can buy that. I've got an ebook already, which I don't fucking promote enough. But yeah, basically, so information, products, and obviously affiliate marketing. That's the sole thing that I want to do. And moving into the future, eventually I want to move to Spain. I'm currently having a child with my girlfriend, my partner, and that is it. We live in Surrey. I moved out of London. I'm a part-time train driver. I don't know, whatever you want to ask me, whatever else that it is. I'm quite a laid-back person. I'm chill. I love the gym. Like, I'm always going to the gym. Don't know if you can see on the camera, but I go gym a lot. And yeah, that's it. That is it, guys. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was so long. I apologize for how long it was, but I do hope you enjoyed it. If you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe, check out my videos, and I'll be I'll keep bringing you guys high quality videos and good content in the future. So stay tuned, and I'll speak to you soon, guys. Take care. Peace.